Hello everyone, Juan Bloisi here with Washington Interpreters. This video contains an interview with two brave interpreters from the Yakima area recorded in August, a couple of months ago. These interpreters decided to speak out against the corruption in their own area and their experiences with the SOSi company. This interview was put on hold initially because of other reasons, but now it's available for you to watch your other fellow interpreters exposing what's going on. This interview is also divided up into chapters for your convenience. Also, a second interview with other interpreters coming forward to talk about these issues will also be published soon. Because interpreters are now speaking out more than ever and the WFSE union wants to silence them, but we would not let that happen. To give you some context, I published a video back on July 21st earlier this year, as you can see on this image, showing you that a group of interpreters from the Yakima area signed an email sent out to SOSi and L&I on July 1st by Rose Ramos, a fellow interpreter, demanding a pause on union deductions until SOSi fixes its system. This group of interpreters decided that they had enough and were not shy about it. Now, fast forward to my last video where I showed how interpreters decided to speak out about the unfair distribution of appointments within the SOSi system, appointment monopolies sponsored by providers to benefit WFSE leaders, and so on. Well, guess what? The WFSE union didn't like to be exposed like that. So they decided to send an email on October 9th to interpreters in order to deceive and reprimand everyone, to silence interpreters and their collective voice. And as you can see here, they felt the pressure, and their email is asking if interpreters are experiencing the same issues I talked about in my last video. The email directs interpreters to contact the WFSE union for help. They're doing this even though their union has been certified for 2 years and nothing has changed. They're also bragging here about suing Interpreting Works, L&I, and self-insured companies with a trial set for 2026. Meanwhile, L&I interpreters have been owed this money since 2021, years ago, because they also waited years to sue L&I, yet they somehow think this is a win. To end their email, these buffoons are telling interpreters, quote, complaining to your colleagues or on social media won't fix anything, end quote, as if they have fixed anything whatsoever. The reality is that L&I interpreters at large are finally aware of the glaring incompetence, negligence, and disrespect from the WFSE union, and now have decided to speak out against it. But of course, WFSE leaders are embarrassed and want L&I interpreters to be silenced and compliant. Well, that's not happening. Not on my watch. Now, please enjoy this interview. Hello, Rosalba. Hello, Karla. You guys, we wanted to get into this video call to talk about what's going on with SOSi, some interpreters in the Yakima area, and what you feel is an unreasonable and unfair targeting of you guys for complaining about issues with SOSi. Who wants to start?
I've been recording lately within the last 2 weeks or so, every single time that appointments are dropped or whenever I'm trying to clock in or log in or sign out. Sometimes the signatures don't save. I get like this weird messages that I've been screenshotting and saving for my just as evidence for me to keep for the future. I have emailed them countless times with no response whatsoever. And if they do respond to me, it's like weeks later, sometimes even months later. They never get to the bottom of the issues. They always blame me and my phone connection for not grabbing appointments or for the appointments taking forever. As of recently, I have been feeling like they have been retaliating just because when appointments are dropped, I feel like my phone and the phone of the other interpreters that signed that letter takes forever to load. And by the time the appointments load, they're basically taken. Or whenever we click on one appointment, it turns green. And when we confirm, it's completely gone. So how is it possible when we're having signal issues for other interpreters to take those appointments? It doesn't make sense to me. But I have FMLA forms that were filled out by my provider that I emailed to them when they send me the incident resolution email that they never responded to. I sent 2, and I've been excused by my doctor with my FMLA form from January 1st up until October of this year. And I'm planning on getting another FMLA form to excuse me for the rest of the year. But they do not even count that as an excuse for the times that I've sent the late cancellations and the late returns. And I took it upon myself today to Google Michael Callow's phone number. I reached out to him. He never answered me. I left him a detailed voicemail, and I even sent him an email basically stating what I said through voicemail just to keep for my records. And he responded with basically he was going to send whatever information he received from me to the Department of L&I or whoever's in charge of this issue so that they can review it and make a decision. But either way, my account will be deactivated as of Monday, August 18th of 2025.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot. So they're not recognizing your excuses, your reasons. And then when did you get this email?
For the deactivation today.
Today. Okay. Now, let me ask you this, because I know you've been saying about the late cancellations and all that. Since when did you start canceling late? Just to put a timeline on it.
Since January, I have been, since I was having like medical issues. I used to put accepted by accident or unavailable to complete because the options that I wanted to put as an excuse were not available on the drop down section of the website.
Right.
And I don't always have a family emergency or transportation issues or conflict of interest. So I would always put, either accepted by accident or unable to complete. I didn't know that was going to count against me, especially because the reject button has not been implemented on the application.
Right.
It shouldn't count against me until that button is implemented. And I don't know, all of a sudden, everything counts against me. And I feel like they are retaliating somehow, especially as of today.
Okay. No, that's understandable. Now, you said since probably January this year, you started canceling late because of medical reasons and all that, and using the options for returning appointments available on the app, even though not all the options that you would want to use were there. Now, when was the first time that you got a warning, an email warning from SOSi letting you know, hey, you just canceled this appointment late, and this is a warning because if you keep on doing this, this is what's going to happen to you? When was the first time you received a warning?
So my first one was December 31st of last year, and it was for one appointment only. And it didn't say low severity. It just said that I had one incident report and that they needed an explanation for it, which I gave it to them and they never responded.
Okay, so that was the only warning you had. And then the next thing, since December last year. Okay. And so then you were accumulating late cancellations because of your medical issues, but you never heard back from them, right?
Never did, no.
Until today, when you received...
The second incident report email that I got was June 18th.
Okay, June 18th.
Yes, that stated that I had 45 late cancellations or returns in a course of like 3 months or so. Okay,
but they still didn't suspend you with that many cancellations, right?
No, they just gave me like a final warning type thing. And then July 24th, I received another email saying that I had 9 late cancellations and returns from June 18th to July 15th, and that it was a high severity and that they needed a response from me, which I emailed them my second FMLA form excusing me from June all the way up to October or September of this year, and they never responded to that email as well.
Okay.
And then that was incident report, it was today.
And then the last email you got from them was today, but today they're letting you know that they're for sure suspending you for 10 days. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
Okay. Rosalba, thank you for joining us here. Tonight, you were another interpreter from the Yakima area affected with these late cancellations. I'm going to highlight you here so everybody could see, and I want you to please share your experience. When was the first time you got a warning about late cancellations, why you were canceling late, and when did you get the suspension email? There you go. Hi, Rosalba. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us. Yes, I think my first email that I received from them from late cancellations was December 30th of 2024. It only showed 2 appointments. It didn't show, it only showed the dates of the appointments. Let me tell you, it was November 6th that I had 2 late cancellations. And like Karla said, I was pregnant at the time when those appointments were returned. I have no idea what was the suggestion that, or what was the option that I choose to return those appointments. Because they notified me like a month later, requesting why I returned the appointments. Like, well, I don't remember anymore, and normally it's because medical appointments, medical issues, just like everybody else when you have kids. I returned back to work at the end of May, I believe. And so my next complaint email, I received it in July 18, I think the same day as everyone else received it. And the majority of the interpreters here from Yakima has received the same complaints of how many appointments they have late cancellations. And it seems like it doesn't matter if you submit any documentations from your doctors or any excuses, because it doesn't count based on these rules that SOSi has. So in reality, I mean, what is the point of having options of car accidents or delayed in another appointment or family emergency if it's still going to count against me? I have a baby that just started daycare, and of course, like with a new baby, if anybody has kids, they should know that kids get sick when they're around other kids. I mean, I'm not going to pick and choose what day she gets sick or what time she gets sick. If she wakes up sick or she comes home sick or school calls me, I'm going to take off and I'm going to go pick up my child. But it seems like nothing is acceptable to them. Doesn't matter if it's doctor's appointment or to them, it doesn't matter if you picked up the appointment at that same time, because appointments drops off within seconds. If you don't pick them up, sometimes you pick them up and you realize, like, I can't cover that appointment, but I had to take it because else I'm left with no work. So they're not even giving you an option to return them because you accidentally accepted them because they count against you, right? Because there's appointments dropping in every day at all day, all time. Like, there's no set time, there's no set hours. We can be at work and we just have to take whatever comes in without realizing that if we're not able to complete those appointments because we have other appointments in life or we have other responsibilities. So of course I'm going to return those appointments and say, I accepted it by accident because I did. Like, if you're dropping appointments and I pick them up I don't even get a chance to read what time they're for. I don't get a chance to see what insurance is it. I just have to take it, or else I'm left with no work. And I'm sure it's the same for everybody else. And it seems like everybody else has the same issue, that when we reach out to them and you communicate with customer service or whatever, nobody has an answer for you. Nobody knows what's going on. They just kind of throw the ball around and try to figure out what can be done. But at the end of the day, nobody gives you an answer. Nobody is there to help you. Supposedly we have this customer service to help you resolve problems, which is never resolved. You can email them complaining about appointments or complaining about any other issues, and you will never get response, or you will get a response a month later when you already resolved the issue on your own. So how is that? What is the point about having customer service or having anybody that should be there to help us? Because we're working together here as a team, even with the system, but the system is not working for us. They want us to work for their rules, but they don't follow their own rules. They don't follow their own guides. They don't follow any of the contract that we signed. Like, it seems like us interpreters are the only ones that are forced to follow these rules.
Okay. Now, you also said a lot here going on. And so what I'm basically getting is, even though you do not remember, right? And I'm going to see if I could add you to the spotlight again right here. Okay, good. So even though you don't remember exactly your answer for the late cancellations, like your reasons, right? But it sounds to me that where you had to cancel late because of a personal issue with your kids or yourself, a medical appointment, something going on, an emergency at the last minute, they requested evidence, but then you submitted at that time whatever reason you had for canceling late, right?
That's why they have their options on there saying what is the reason for you returning this appointment. So why is there a need for us to submit a doctor's note or anything? We're not employees. We're independent contractors. Aren't we here to choose and pick where we want to work?
Yeah. So, and this is the heart of the issue here, because, and I'm going to see if I could bring Karla here as well, add you to the spotlight right here. Okay. So the three of us are here now. And so, and I want to thank you again, guys, because it's late at night and you have your kids, your family, things to do. But I am very, frustrated and disappointed because you're not the only interpreters reaching out to us. And I'm pretty sure you have reached out to L&I, to SOSi, to everyone many times. And the problem is, and for those of you listening, we have an incident resolution process. And so what Karla and Rosalba are highlighting here is the heart of the problem is we're independent contractors. We're not supposed to be providing all of these details and be controlled as if we were employees, because we're not. But what happened was when SOSi took over, right, they made everyone sign this incident resolution process as a condition of employment. And then L&I and the WFSE union, the Washington Federation of State Employees, and SOSi, they're going to say, well, you signed this.
Right. That's exactly their answer. They said, well, there's a contract says that you signed this, right?
Right. And so, and that seems to me, a coercion, because of course you want to contract with L&I and SOSi, with SOSi, in this juncture to receive appointments. And so many interpreters do not understand what they're signing. And I did understand, and I signed it because, once again, we need to work. But this was done, in my opinion, in bad faith, because now you sign this and you have to be subjected to this policy. But even though we have this incident resolution process, my thing with the whole way they're handling this is as follows. You guys have been canceling late for months, and they give you warnings, they ask you for evidence, you submitted evidence, yet they chose not to suspend you.
Consider the evidence.
Not to consider the evidence, and they still didn't suspend you. And then you would say, well, they're being merciful. Well, thank God they're not suspending me. Maybe they're understanding. That's fine. But what's curious to me is, for those of you listening, is Karla and Rosalba here. If you remember my last couple of videos, or my last video, they were the main interpreters, along with others from Yakima, signing their name to a letter complaining, right, about SOSi working conditions. And they were courageous enough to put their name and now their faces, so you're not alone. This is not happening to you only, and you don't have to be afraid. And the minute they do that, now they're suspended. And of course, they have a reasons to suspend because of the many cancellations. But part of the incident resolution process is to follow up with the incident. So if months ago, these two ladies and many others, many of you have been getting warnings, and then you keep on doing stuff, they need to actually find resolution to an incident, not wait months and months and months. They need to tell you, well, you violated several warnings, and now we're going to suspend you. Now, I would say within 30 days. Read the incident resolution process, but not months later. And now it's very suspicious because this is looking like retaliation for speaking up.
It definitely looks like retaliation, because the group of people that signed this letter, we all received the same email saying that we're going to be suspended for 10 days. So that makes me think that it's retaliation against us for speaking up for something, for rules that are not being followed.
Yes, and this is very interesting because you have the right to speak up and to say this is not working. You have the right to be frustrated. We're not employees, we're independent contractors. And so I'm not going to give you or anybody legal advice. You know, I could have a private conversation with you guys and anyone listening and give you my suggestions and what I would do in your case. But I'm going to tell you something. There are laws protecting both employees and independent contractors from retaliatory practices. So this retaliation is not going to go unnoticed if it is found that they are retaliating. If you call me like these, beautiful ladies here, decided to do so and share what they're going through with me in a private call, I'm going to give you, my opinions on what's going on. And if you need to be referred to a lawyer, I'll have some resources. When you present these things and they're ignored and then picked up at a convenient time to suspend you,
yes,
it looks like retaliation. And it's so sad because we're supposed to have a union, right? I'm the adversary, right? I'm not in agreement with the Washington Federation of State Employees. However, they are the union. You guys, Karla and Rosalba here, and any other interpreter, you have the right, whether you pay union dues or not, it is your right because they now represent you legally. It is your right to go and call WFSE and say, represent me and defend me and see what's going on. This is an injustice, but they don't care. And I'm going to be.
They are only good enough to call you, email you, and text you asking if you want to be a union member because they don't see you on file as being a member. That's the only thing that they're good for.
And that's a concern to me. I'm going to let you speak now, Rosalba, because, they're supposed to defend you. Not defend you if you're guilty. If you committed something, at least they have to guide you through the process of the resolution, incident resolution, and then at the end let you know, look, we did what we could, but at the end of the day, you committed these excesses or violations or whatnot. But they're not even doing that. And my thing is, I receive reports from many interpreters that the reason the WFSE unit is not doing this is because they're defending the people engaging in monopolies and violating the rules. Is that your experience?
That is our experience. I believe that is our experience with other interpreters, because I've seen a lot worse things happening where interpreters take appointments and they just never show up to the appointments. And I'm questioning this. Okay, why aren't these people punished the same way they want to punish interpreters that are returning appointments because of medical condition or because of family emergency or because of car problems? I mean, tons of things that are going on. And with evidence, like you said, okay, notes submitted by doctors. But then I see all other interpreters running around leaving appointments behind. And here in Yakima, where an interpreter shows up with their kid to work, isn't that a HIPAA violation? Where we have interpreters checking in and leaving the appointment and coming back to check out, and nobody says anything, and clinics report to SOSi, to L&I. And it seems like they just ignore this kind of things. And the appointments that we return, and I have had this experience with a group of interpreters that I know, because I would tell them, hey, I'm going to return this appointment because my child is sick. If you guys have availability, please take the appointment. Every appointment I have returned, they're taken by somebody else. It's not like they're left behind, not covered. I would understand if these appointments went uncovered, but the majority of the appointments I return, somebody else takes them. So it doesn't affect the system in any way. It's not affecting the patient. It's not affecting the clinic. I reach out to the clinic and I let them also know, hey, I'm going to return your appointment. My child is sick. There's other interpreter. I'm sure someone will pick it up. And if I'm able to, I'll take it back. If I'm not, if I can come back on time, and I will pick up the appointment back if I'm able to come back.
Okay, Karla, have you experienced in your area? I know you're in the Yakima area, but I'm actually talking about the clinics or the places where you frequent to cover appointments. have you experienced any preference or favoritism or clinics, gaming the system to give appointments to specific interpreters, union interpreters or not?
It's not as bad as I know to be in other places, but yes, I have. But it's not like I can complain because if I do, nothing's going to happen. So why even waste my time complaining about something like that?
Exactly. And see, this is, the hypocrisy of it all. It seems to be that only those connected to the union and their leadership are the ones that could get away with anything. Nothing happens to them. Clinics cancel appointments and give it to them until they could take them from the app, and they are the ones always at the same work hardening appointments and whatnot. Now, to end it all, I want to give you an opportunity, both individually, to give L&I and SOSi a message. What you suggest they do and what you're prepared to do if they don't help you.
I feel like all three parties, L&I, SOSi, and interpreters, should abide by the rules and the contract that we all signed before the system was implemented. Just the same way they want us to follow the rules, I feel like we should all follow the rules and not just hold some people accountable and not the rest. We should all have the same opportunities to get work. We should actually be represented by a union that actually care for us and not just to take our money. I feel like they should be taking our concerns into consideration when making decisions that are going to affect me financially. Whatever decisions they're doing behind our backs, they're affecting us one way or the other, and they just don't care to hear you or listen to you. They don't make changes. And I feel like they don't make changes because nothing is being done. Because as of right now, the customer service representatives are useless. They can never give you a phone number for you to talk to the other party over the phone. They never reach out to you via email. When they do reply to you, they create another ticket that you don't even know what the conversation was about because they don't even reply to the original email that you sent to them. They do it months later. They never have an answer. They always blame you because the system that they have is perfect. The reasons that they have for us to choose from, we need more options. And we need people to respond. The contract states that they need to respond to us in a timely manner when we have questions or concerns or we send emails. And they don't do that. So they already breached the contract since day one. They breached the contract when they allowed clinics to request referral interpreters. They have breached the contract when they don't even take the documentation that you have provided for late cancellations and late returns into consideration, when they don't even have a customer service representative 24/7 as the contract states that we should have, sending appointments at inappropriate times, other interpreters doing HIPAA violations, and they just don't care for that. But yet we're being reprimanded for signing a letter, submitting it, and returning late cancellations. We are a group of interpreters that we work as much as we can, and we cover as many appointments as possible. I think that is very unfair, and I feel like they need to make those changes. I feel like L&I needs to look into SOSi and all of their stuff that they're doing.
Okay. Well, thank you, Karla. We're going to follow up on this. Now, Rosalba, go ahead, please.
I think interpreters should not be afraid because they don't have someone to represent them. We can represent ourselves. That's why we're independent contractors. This system should be fair. And like Karla said, here in Yakima, we see a lot of jeopardized appointments where there's interpreters that are chosen as preferred interpreters. At certain clinics, they know who they are. And I'm sure it has to do with the union, that they're union members or whatever the case is. And I thought the only way that you could be a preferred interpreter if it was a head injury or if it had to do with psychiatric or psychology, anything like that. Program. Right. And this is not the case. We see a lot of this happening with specific clinics. Nobody says it because it's not convenient to be spread out there, but we know that it's happening. This is not a fair system. This jeopardizes. It picks and chooses who they want to reprimand. No one should be afraid to speak up of what's going on. If we want changes, we need to speak up. We need to ask L&I to look into this, to look into the system, to look into SOSi, the unfairness that we're having to look at we are all humans. I mean, if you wake up sick, you wake up sick. I mean, you have to return your appointment. I think they need to take in consideration when we're submitting notes, doctor notes, of why we're returning late appointments. If we're professionals and we're there to provide a service, we should be able to speak up. We should be able to ask for changes. We shouldn't be afraid. Interpreters should not be afraid to speak up and come out and say, hey, this is what I want to be changed. Like, you need to use your voice to ask for changes. If you don't use your voice, we can't, not 1%, 2% can't fix things if we don't use our voices. If we don't come out there and lose the fear to ask for changes, for things that I like about this system, for the unfairness that's going on.
Thank you. And you guys, I'm so grateful for both of you and there's so many other courageous interpreters coming forward. They wanted a scheduling system supposedly to stop the corruption, and we still have it.
And we still have it.
They wanted a scheduling system to supposedly eliminate the monopolies, and we still have the monopolies. Now, the union leaders and some other preferred selected interpreters in on the scam are benefiting themselves and reaching their pockets, and the rest of us are just struggling for appointments. A union that represents interpreters represents everyone by law, whether or not you pay union dues or decide to become a member. That's actually the deal. When they win the certification process, they have to represent everyone fairly and equally, but they're not doing this. And it pains me because we warned all interpreters about this. 3 elections, 5 years talking to interpreters about this. Okay, fine. Hopefully we have a chance to unseat this union. If we are granted an election, it's not guaranteed, but we'll see. But in the meantime, I encourage everyone to follow Karla and Rosalba's example here, and do not be afraid to speak. The audacity of the WFSE union. They are now sending emails, like Karla pointed out earlier. The only reason they have to contact you is because they want you to sign up to become a member and take your money.
Yes.
When you contact them, when interpreters, that are not ethical, doing these monopolies, wrecking everybody's schedule, when they're doing that, the union is nowhere to be found. When, now these interpreters are having these incident resolution process suspensions, the union is nowhere to be found. They told you, well, you signed the contract and you're going to be suspended, whatever. When you need guidance, they're not there. We don't have good working conditions. We barely have a meager raise because L&I gives us to us every year anyways. We don't have any benefits, but they want more money because they're desperate. Don't fall for it, because if you're a public employee, that's what we are as interpreters. We contract with the government. You do not have to be a union member. It's a voluntary thing. So I'm going to end this video here, but this is my encouragement to you. I am available. Washington Interpreters will still here. When we do not make a video or send you an email, it's because, guys, we're working behind the scenes trying to see what we could do to better our situation. Even though we're not the union representing interpreters, we never stop working. So thank you, guys. Send me your complaints, concerns, comments, suggestions to our union email. Thank you, guys. God bless. We'll see you in the next video.